Welcome to the moment. You've been in it all your life, possibly unaware. Much of a human's existence is spent in a dream state as a result of something that is known as the inversion. Inversion is a concept in which the truth of the universe has been flipped upside down and not corrected. In the physical phenomenon of optics, this is exemplified. We have light going through the pupil, hitting the retina, forming an image which is actually upside down. It's inverted. And this has to be corrected by the brain before it is perceived properly by the human, and I believe by most other animals who have this kind of optic biological facility. So, taking that concept on a more broader scale, we can see that our perception of the universe, our perception of our world, of our reality, can suffer the same fate. We tend to see things upside down. In other words, we tend to accept the physical as being the actual reality, the causative force of the universe, as opposed to the spiritual. Now, there's a lot of misconception that happens in result of the spiritual not being understood properly and being given a bad name. In fact, the word God itself is probably one of the most maligned words in the English language, or any language for that matter, because it's so abused in North American society. I don't think I have to get into that too much. You can think about how often that word is used without any real meaning. And as such, people don't even really understand the concept at all. The inversion implies that our perception has been flipped upside down. What really is being said here is that the physical plane is, when it is accepted as the causative force, as the reality, it blinds us to accepting a higher state of consciousness in which we actually don't perceive reality as such. We perceive reality as being entirely mental, on a mental realm of mind in which everything is an idea, and including all the physical objects you see and interact with. All these things are ideas, and your interaction with them is also an idea. Space is an idea. Walking is a mental activity. Talking is a mental activity. Eating is a mental activity, because it's being done in a realm of ideas. But what has happened is you have accepted the notion that the physical is a causative force, that there is something past you out there, composed of atoms, molecules, chemicals, biological substances, etc., getting ever more complex, that has a force unto its own, and it dominates you. So that's the inversion, when you become mesmerized by that belief, and the great spiritual thinker from the last century, Mary Bigaretti, described that as sense. And one of the statements that she repeated many times is that there is no life, truth, intelligence, nor substance in matter. And a lot of people hear that and they just shut off instantly because they look around themselves and they pick up objects. What are you talking about? This hammer is real, and I pound this nail into this piece of wood, and that is all a real experience. How can you say there's no substance here? Well, after a century of scientific research, it's interesting to note that, in fact, she has been proven correct by physicists themselves who have probed deeper and deeper into the nature of reality to discover that the more they look at it, the less there is really there. Because when you go down to the molecular level, the atomic level, the actual particles themselves, the electrons and the neutrons and the protons, etc., are spaced out just as far and wide as the solar system is. It's huge distances, and those atoms themselves are ridiculously far apart. It's similar to the nature of galaxies and planets and stars. There's just this huge, vast distance between them. And then when you get down to the actual elements themselves, they're just energy. And they break down even further and further. Now, the unifying theory that is being, I believe, upheld, the string theory, shows that the actual empirical evidence that we would have to test to prove string theory would require simply astronomical means to get down to that. It would, in essence, be impossible practically to prove empirically. So we almost have to have faith in string theory. So there you have this breaking down the actual scientific analysis of matter itself has shown that there really isn't any substance here. There's this energy there, but what is this energy? I mean, energy is what? Perhaps the easiest way to conceive of energy is it's just actual mental force. It's the power of mind you're seeing being evidenced in front of you, in your hands, when you touch things, when you see things moving around. So there is much to be learned by beginning to flip things back around the other way and seeing that you're actually existing right now in a realm of mind, and everything that is happening around you is an idea, and all these ideas are working in seemingly sometimes chaotic ways, seemingly sometimes harmonious ways, to bring about your reality and your existence in that reality, your context in that reality. What you make out of that is your life, and best to make the most of it by following the highest ideal that you have. You have to work with what you understand, and it sometimes takes quite a long time to come around. I know myself, I've certainly had to struggle to reach higher states of consciousness, to perceive things on a deeper level. But when you start to get the ball rolling, and just like any activity, as long as you maintain discipline about it, it gets easier to do because you're always doing it and you're intimately familiar with how to maintain that state of thought. So if you're a musician, for instance, practice every day, music comes easier. If you're a scientist, a mathematician, or whatever your endeavor is, the more you do it, the easier it becomes